All right, this is Alan B. Smith with Paranormal Pop, and I'm with my good friend Andrew, who has been on the Geek Sessions, which used to be on Paranormal Now, but now we've kind of taken the Geek Sessions idea and moved it over to a new channel. So today we're going to talk about Captain Marvel and the future of the Marvel Universe. So Andrew, what's up?
Man, I loved it. I gotta say, I loved it. I think as a standalone, I think it worked pretty well.
Mhm.
Obviously, there was a lot of tie-ins to the MCU, but I feel you didn't have to be a big fan to really get all those references, and really
Yeah.
they weren't big plot points.
hmm
They're more just nods to the fans. But I loved it, man. I loved the Stanley cameo. I thought it was definitely the best one. Rest in peace, Stan, for sure. That was really sweet.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
the opening credits and the cameo I thought were really nice. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Did
I didn't know. Did you know that the script that Stanley was holding
Borat,
Mallrats? I didn't notice
which
that
is,
when I was.
which is also his first. That's his first actually on-screen role.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
it was like a big deal. I remember when he did it. It was like his first like acting role.
Before
So
everybody
like
was like crying and
before he even did because there was no Marvel movies at the time. Like
nope.
I believe his first cameo, if I'm not mistaken, is X-Men or Spider-Man. It's got to be one of the two.
I think it was Spider-Man.
Yeah, but in any case, so that his first actual movie is in Mallrats. He plays himself, but it's
Yeah,
his first role. And the line he's saying is he's actually reading his line from the
yeah.
movie.
Like he's
So it's
rehearsing
just,
it.
yeah, because obviously it takes place in the '90s. He's like it's Stan Lee like on the bus on the way to his to record to film that movie Mallrats.
Yeah,
He's reading the script. He's reciting his lines. So I thought that was really cute. It was really clever. I loved it. I
yeah.
loved it,
We know
man.
what I like about it is that it acknowledges the and there's nothing wrong with just being a movie fan. I mean, I'm pretty much more of a movie fan than a comic book fan, but it acknowledges the true comic book, you know, fans that were always there from before he was famous, and everyone was just clawing to get a piece of him, And that Kevin Smith was just, a geeky comic book guy, and was like wanted him in this film. That I really appreciate that.
Yes, without a doubt.
And we should probably say, just to be on the safe side, and I'll put an image up before this starts. Spoiler alert, just in case. I think we
I'll
kind of
try my
have to.
best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like spoilers. I really don't. I'll try my best not to.
hmm
But yeah, yeah,
So,
I'll
all
try
right.
my best. I'm
So,
sorry if
so
I
Captain
cut.
Marvel. No, yeah. It's spoilers. Beware, just in case. I did a very short spoiler-free review. Not much detail, but okay. So my take in general is that obviously you and I have similar opinions on The Last Jedi and how characters were in there, and that goes for both male and female. And I think there's a fair argument to say that Rey, even though I still like her character, is a Mary Sue character for the most part.
Which Ray? Last
Last
Jedi
Jedi
or
Rey,
Force Awakens?
not the
Okay,
Force Awakens
okay,
Rey.
okay.
And so I kind of got caught up on YouTube watching like all these videos, reading articles, criticizing, and then like the Captain Marvel thing started like snowballing because of comments that Brie Larson made outside of the movie. And I think it's whatever you think, like there's plenty of actors like I don't agree with their politics. I go see movies anyway. So like I think people weren't able to set aside however they interpreted her comments, from the actual film, and they went into the film hating it or boycotting it, which I thought was kind of silly.
Or fake Rotten Tomatoes comments to try to like
Yeah.
sabotage the film,
Well, and
which is like a big thing now, which
exactly.
is
What
silly.
what really upset me about that is that they're. I understand people were purposely giving a negative want to see in advance. That was fair. People were saying I don't want to see it. I think that's fair. But the review thing, what I found out was that the majority of the reviews that Rotten Tomatoes had taken down were reviews that were posted like first thing in the morning before the movie was even like released in most theaters, and they just got like bombarded by a bunch of just hate reviews, which means those people clearly didn't even see the movie yet. They just waited
I,
for their
I
gate to open on Rotten Tomatoes.
I feel like you can tell like who the trolls are too when you just read the review. Like
They didn't see
a
the
lot of
movie.
a lot of them aren't even in like proper English.
Yeah.
They're just like poorly worded, clearly written by someone like with like an elementary school education
Right.
or less.
Or at least they sound like it, yeah.
And like
Um,
honestly, like if you really want to boycott something, just don't go see it. Don't pay money. Like if you
yeah.
make a review, like I'm still gonna go see the movie regardless of what anyone says about it, man. Like I make up my own mind, and if you really want to hurt them, man, hurt them where they're, hurt them where it hurts them most, their pockets. Like, don't go see the movie.
Yeah, and I think that there are concerns to be fair about the movie going into it, because it seemed, in conjunction with Brie Larson's comments, it seemed sort of like heavy-handed feminism, but it really wasn't. It wasn't like
I didn't think it was at all.
No, like all the characters. It wasn't
like force fed like Last Jedi.
No, it wasn't force fed. And the Last Jedi, I feel like of course there are weak and pathetic men out there, of course, and you can write that into any storyline, and I have no problem with that. But in The Last Jedi, it was just so obvious that I was like, let's set up all the men to be bumbling idiots, and that I think is a disservice to intelligent women, because you shouldn't be made to look intelligent by putting someone next to someone who's like really dumb. To me, that's poor writing. In this, everyone is a human, and everyone has their weak points, their strengths, their level of intelligence. It felt like more how humans behave with each other, male and female. I don't know.
Yeah, I really liked it. Do you notice how it always comes back to Last Jedi, buddy? It
always does. But that's where the anger started.
It's true.
But now it's out of control. Now people are like, they're just like clamming to like attack something.
Tell me, do you agree with this? Wouldn't you say that Last Jedi pretty much started like this like try to sabotage movies, like hatred campaign? Totally. It absolutely did, right?
What does that say about the movie, though?
It had a heavy hand. Yeah.
Yeah, of course there's always people that are overacting. But what about you? Do you feel like it was like too heavy-handed on feminism, or?
Not at all. I mean, I'm a big comic book nerd, so obviously I'm fine with them changing source material. Like, there's a few big changes that they made. Her origin is pretty similar, but it's not. Like, she gets her powers from Marvel originally. So, like, okay, well, the one big difference. So, in the comics, when she gets her powers, she doesn't go by Captain Marvel. She goes by Ms. Marvel. Okay?
Right.
And, like, her outfit was like a swimsuit. There was, like, she wasn't wearing pants, and, like, there's, like, a lightning bolt cut out of the cleavage. It's like, very, very, like, typical, like, it wouldn't fly these days.
Right.
But and so she was Miss Marvel for a long time. Like, she didn't go by Captain Marvel until I think like 2012 in the comics.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting note about the reason why there's been so many different Captain Marvels, and the reasons that put them out every so often in the comic book at least, is because when Marvel won the lawsuit against Fawcett Comics, which ties into the I'll get there, but so long story short, they had this character called Captain Marvel, and who now is known as Shazam, and has a movie coming out like in a month with the dude from Chuck.
Right. And
it's from DC Comics. Basically, Fawcett Comics made it. He went by the name of Captain Marvel. There was a lawsuit, like he looked too much like Superman. Anyway, Marvel Comics won the lawsuit, and they got the rights for the name Captain Marvel. But the stipulation with the lawsuit is they must release a Captain Marvel comic every 2 years. So, like, through the years, there's been multiple characters and multiple, fictional characters that have gone by the moniker of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, like Monica Rambeau. Yeah.
Right, who we do see in the movie. You think they'll bring her up? You think she's in the future MCU?
It has to be.
I think so. Yeah. I think so too.
I doubt that there'll be a surprise appearance in Endgame, but I wouldn't be surprised because I mean, every other movie for the most part like will introduce a new character, and then the next movie will be like an origin story for them. You don't have to do an origin story first. You can bring in a character and do an origin story later. So this would be the time period, because she's in 1995. She's like what, 12?
Yeah, she's a little girl.
She's the right age to be like full-grown superhero woman. Right, so exactly. To me, it totally makes sense that they would bring her into Endgame, but I don't know.
Okay, she has been an Avenger in the comics under several different aliases. So I think we'll definitely see her, especially if they've gone through the motions of introducing her.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting? I think a lot of people really read into the scene where Schwarzenegger's head is blown. There's a poster of True Lies, and his head's blown. Do you remember that moment?
In Captain Marvel?
Yeah. It was a very quick thing. Like she reacted to something in photon shot, and it like went right through Schwarzenegger's head in the poster, the True Lies poster.
Oh, maybe I kind of maybe remember that.
And people
But
were
there
like,
was a lot going
"Oh,
on, man.
that's a knock
I
on
was trying to
men."
take it all in. I was
Yeah,
trying to take it in.
yeah, and like I get it. It's a knock on like the idea of like being like overly misogynistic male because because of Arnold Schwarzenegger's real life. So I get the symbolism there, like how he's treated his wife and a secret child, and he's like this big macho dude. But like it was done in such a Marvel, playful way.
Well,
Like it was like
dude,
it didn't
this is
take it
news
so
to me, man.
seriously.
This is news to me. I had no idea.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
you're
If you watch it again, it's in the
There you
blockbuster
go.
scene. And then the other moment where people are like, "Oh, she's being."
Oh, she takes out the cardboard cutout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Is it a cardboard
Well,
cutout? I thought it was a poster.
Yeah, no. It's like a legit. I believe it's like a life-size cardboard cutout.
Okay.
That it was next to.
Yeah.
For the record, I love True Lies. I've watched that movie
Me
with my
too.
father
Me
and
too.
brother like a million times.
Who
I've
did-
probably seen that movie more than any other movie. Definitely top 5
Wow.
of all films ever.
And who
I've
do-
seen that movie a lot.
Who doesn't like Jamie Lee Curtis in that movie too? I mean,
Incredible,
it's just-
Tia Carrera.
Mhm.
Great, it's great, man. Oh,
But then, and then the scene was really interesting. Was when the guy is on his bike, right? And then she's like reading a map, and he's like, "Hey, sweetheart, why don't you smile?" or something like that, or "Give me a smile." After he compliments her and and she doesn't react. She just kind of like looks
no,
over her thing.
Well,
Right? She's like looks over her thing, and then he, spoiler alert, but he goes inside the bar or restaurant, whatever's there. And then she steals his motorcycle and leaves. And I thought, good for you. Like,
he's active.
And all these people are like, oh my God, it's so misogynistic. Well, but do you remember Terminator 2? Like, the guy walks into a bar, blows people to death, and then takes someone's motorcycle. And we all love that moment, Like, anyway. So, okay, so let's get.
I didn't see those things, man. I didn't see those things at all. Maybe there's something wrong with me, I guess.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They're really, I thought, fairly lightheanded. And I think that's it. The rest of the film, I thought, was really fun. Do you think that it was like a hybridization of a buddy cop film, sci-fi, and like what do you think the film is?
There was a lot going on, but it's definitely. I think it's good sci-fi, and I think the big thing about it is it really opens up the MCU to space and above and beyond, like all the different galaxies, and that's always been a big part of Marvel in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's it kind of started with Guardians. They broke it out. You got to see these cosmic characters. With Guardians 2, you got to see Ego.
Yep.
They teased us with Adam Warlock at the end. There's a lot of really cool cosmic characters. Obviously, Marvel has Eternals on the burner for like a movie coming out.
Mm-hmm.
An openly gay lead, which is pretty big. They're going for and they're looking for currently casting for that. And Eternals, it all happens in space. They're basically, when the Celestials came down from Earth, they experimented on early humans, and there was 2 subgroups. The Eternals are one of those subgroups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
So
also the
that's
X-Men are
Eternals, yeah.
X-Men are.
What's up?
There's going to be a new X-Men universe too post Endgame.
Hopefully.
Will they be tying that in, or are they going to keep those two things separate?
That's the big thing. So obviously the Disney Fox merger goes through any day now. It's been a long process.
Mm-hmm.
When that goes through, pretty much everything reverts back to Marvel or Disney, the conglomerate that owns.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good idea to bring it back in, especially with Fantastic Four. Let's not forget Fantastic Four, because that's the other property that Fox owns that was not handled properly and has not been done properly. I think Doctor Doom really needs a good film appearance, whether it's his own movie or as the villain in the Fantastic Four films. But he's a top Marvel villain, and he's never been done justice appropriately, man. He's due for one. And Fantastic Four, a lot of the stuff they deal with has to do with space.
That's true. I mean, if he's going to do it,
Super Galactus. And obviously they brought the Krees and the Skrulls in, which is huge because in the comic, my thing went out. But in the comic, the Kree and the Skrulls are actually a big part of one of the first comic book crossovers ever was the Kree vs. Skrull War.
Mm-hmm.
And am I still on, buddy? Can you see me?
Yep, you're good. Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's just one of those things. There was another really cool crossover called Secret Invasion, where the Skrulls invade
mm-hmm.
Earth and they take over key positions. That would be a really dope movie.
I think that's
they live.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that that's where he might be going with this.
It would be cool. I think it would work really well. I think it would be an awesome film.
It would be an interesting twist because right now it seems like the Skrulls are good,
Well, and it's funny you mentioned that. So,
but or are they like?
well, I think that's the big thing. So
Yeah.
talking to my brother about it, my brother, I just gotta tell you, my brother's a big Fantastic Four guy. Like that's his favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So like one of their biggest villains is this guy named Super Skrull, and he kind of like can take on like all four powers of the Fantastic Four.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just like one of the generals in the army. He's just one of the Skrulls. He's not every Skrull, but he's like very evil.
Right.
And a lot of times in Marvel comics, like the Skrulls do some real evil stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I thought it was kind of cool that you have like a little twist where maybe not everyone's so bad, you know?
Yeah.
You know, humans have, you know, good and evil people.
Yep.
Skrulls have good and evil people, and so do the Kree.
Exactly. So you can still have going forward, you know, Kree that are benevolent or malevolent, and Skrull that are malevolent or benevolent. Same thing with humans. I just don't know where they're going to go with Endgame after this, because you know the feeling I got from the end credit was, yes, Captain Marvel
Which was great, by the way.
comes back.
It was
was
definitely
great.
one of the better ones, right?
No, I really enjoyed it. But what it did was, I think we're going to see a lot more from Brie Larson's acting that we didn't get to see in Captain Marvel. I kind of got the feeling that there was like a shaping going on. Like they were like, oh, okay, this is how we want you to be like this and be like that.
But also she kind of has like an amnesia plot, you know, like you know,
Yeah,
she's trying
yeah.
to figure out, like what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I did like how they handled that, by the way. I did like the time jumps and all that.
I like that
thought
too.
It was really well done.
Yeah, I don't know why people didn't like that. And also
There's not too much exposition. It was all done cinematically, and I thought it read really well.
Yeah, for me it did.
understood it. I got it.
Actually, to be honest with you, I was shocked how easy this movie was for me to watch. Like, because there are other there are other Marvel movies I'm like, oh man, I can't do this anymore. Like Thor Ragnarok, I couldn't. I know people love that film. I couldn't. It was just too on the head, like corny jokes. I was like,
have you seen the other Thor movies? Have you seen either of the others?
dark. I saw 1 and 2.
Okay, so you've seen them all. I mean, come on, like, I guess
But
it's an improvement.
no, I know, but this one was just like, between him and Hulk, it was just too much for me. but then there were still funny moments. But overall, it felt much more like a Saturday morning cartoon to me than it did like a cinematic film. But anyway, and that's why when I went into this, I had low expectations, but I had hope that it would be a good movie, and I thought. I loved that it had a 90s kind of feel to it. I thought they pulled it off really well.
Totally.
And I think it was like smooth and seamless. And
I love Sam Jackson and Clark Gregg, by the way. They were awesome in it.
amazing, yeah.
So that's Nick Fury and Colston.
Although honestly, I'm not, it was funny, but I don't like how Fury lost his eye.
Okay, it's funny you mentioned that.
I
I'm
feel like
not sure
there
how
must be
to-
more
I-
to the story, right?
No, okay. So in the original comics, so Nick Fury lost it like it was like a war injury, like a warhead exploded and it like messed up his eye.
In World War II or something, yeah.
Yeah. Because like it was originally like a World War II comic, like where he like had a troop, Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of those commandos were actually a lot of those characters are the commandos from Captain America: First Avenger.
Yeah.
They use the same characters. Little fact there.
Oh, you know, that's interesting. I'm glad you brought that up too. Because there was some sort of criticism about Brie Larson playing this role and being like semi-bland. And I don't think that's entirely fair, because the first Captain America film, when that came out, he was getting kind of the same criticism too. That his acting was a little bit bland, it wasn't that exciting. And now he's like the perfect, everyone loves him as Captain America. You know?
Just like with anything, man. And like they gotta work their way into the role. You know, they really gotta feel it out.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people like Ragnarok, and I can definitely tell that the dude that plays Thor, the Hemsworth.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the wrong first name,
Chris.
but you can tell in Ragnarok that he like is actually having fun. Like he gets his character, like at least how he wants to play it.
Yeah.
So he's just having fun with it, and that's why. And I think it shows on screen that way. That's why I think a lot of people liked it.
Yeah.
You know, Captain America had 3 films. Like Winter Soldier was dope, but it wasn't necessarily his acting; it was the script. I'm not saying his acting was bad, but like,
Right.
You know, it was awesome.
Right.
But,
I think that there wasn't enough to sink their teeth in. in both cases, in Captain Marvel and Captain America.
Exactly.
Emotionally.
Yeah, give her time, man. Give her time. She'll work her way into it. She's great.
Oh, if you've ever seen the movie Room, she's a fantastic actress. I mean, there's no denying that.
Incredible.
Yeah. I think, and that's what I'm saying. Like, when we get to the end credits of the movie, and we see her coming back to Earth 24 years later, there's a weight to her. There's a weight that you didn't see in the Captain Marvel movie. Like, I got the sense that time had passed, that she's been through some stuff, and that she really cared about Nick Fury. And I thought that was, in that short little bit of time span of acting, was brilliant. Almost like Mark Hamill at the end of Force Awakens. Like that, like the look in his eyes, his like 3-second film shot was like the best part of that movie for me. His acting was so beautiful in that moment.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep. Okay, so what do you think is going to happen to end with Endgame moving forward then?
I think, honestly, I don't think they're going to add too many more things. That I think there's a lot going on as it is, and it really is an end of sorts to several characters. There's definitely several characters that aren't going to be coming back, or at least they'll give them a graceful way out. Like Cap's done, Chris Evans is done. He's not doing anymore.
Fury, I mean, Samuel Jackson's sticking around though, that's for sure.
Yeah, and as well he should, man. As well he should.
Yeah,
man.
why not?
Get that money.
Yeah.
I think it's up to the actor, man. If you want to stay on, do it, man. If you have other things to do, if you want to try other roles, go ahead, man. Like, I'm not gonna hate on you.
Well,
I'm not gonna get mad because you left. It's one thing if you break contract, but no, if you lived out your contract, man, if you paid your dues, man, good luck, man. Good luck. They'll bring you back like in 10 years. When the other thing doesn't work out, they'll bring you back as something else. They'll bring you back like an older version of the character.
Do you think that her origin story, Captain Marvel, is a true hero's origin story? Does a hero have to have an origin tragedy? Like, for instance, in real world mythology, right? The hero goes on a journey. When they're on the journey, that's when like things happen to them. That's when life gets in the way, tragedy, drama, sacrifice. It's along the journey. In comic books, oftentimes there's an origin story before they become the hero on their journey. Like the Hulk, right? I mean, it's a tragic. He had a father, I think, that was abusive, right, and beat him, and then he self-sacrificed himself to save a child's life, and then got exposed, and now he's a mutant, basically. So that's tragic. But with Captain Marvel, there's not much that we're given, but I do see her sacrificing herself, right, when she blows up the photon.
I think more than once she sacrificed herself. Even like the reason why she leaves at the end, I think that's like very selfless.
That's true. Yeah.
If you think about it, like she's trying to find herself, and like she doesn't really know what's going on. She's had like a lot of time stolen from her.
Yeah.
She was led a certain way, led to believe certain things that weren't necessarily true. I think. But like, even her like taking the hit, man, she took that hit. She took that hit, which in turn created her. Yeah. Give her powers. But I mean, she was always a hero, man. Like before she was a superhero, she was a fighter pilot.
Did you get the whole her getting Kree blood? Like what? They didn't really explain why they gave her Kree blood, though, right?
I think like a transfusion. I guess like from the injury.
Okay.
So like I mean in the comic book origin, she's in the explosion with Marvel, the Kree warrior, and like they kind of like fuse like her like the DNA fuses somehow because of that. It's like a similar situation in the movie. It's very similar. It's just not necessarily from Marvel's powers, but I don't need to say what it is. Oh, one more thing: the Supreme Intelligence. I know some people are upset about that. I was fine with it.
No, because Nick Fury was changed. I mean, race was changed.
Exactly.
So who cares if a gender has changed? It doesn't matter at this point. I don't think.
Yeah, but I think eventually I think people wanted to see the giant green head that looked like the lead singer of PM Dawn. I think people wanted to see that.
Yeah.
But like if it's the Supreme Intelligence, I think that it can take the shape of whoever it wants.
Of
And I
course,
think it
yeah.
made perfect sense to to his appearance. And who's to say down the road we don't see like they don't go visit
Variations.
the Supreme Intelligence and you don't see the real head in the tube.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm good either way. Like I wasn't hurt because I didn't see it,
Are,
and I truthfully mean that.
are you excited for Endgame?
I am. I am.
Do you think it's going to be the biggest film of all time, selling film of all time?
I don't know, man. It's hard to say.
Because Captain Marvel is already at about 500 million right now, worldwide, so it's on track to hit a billion for sure, as long as the second weekend is fairly strong, and that's leading another like 5 or 6 weeks until Endgame comes out. I mean, it has to be the most anticipated film since The Force Awakens.
Disney's gonna have a good year. Disney's definitely gonna have a good year.
Yeah.
Like they did well last year with Black Panther, and and that's the one other thing I just wanted to mention. Like there's so many different Marvel characters and so many different properties they can explore.
Yeah.
I think that each project, the more different it is, the better. Like Black Panther's like here, Captain Marvel's over here, Eternals is gonna be like way over here. Guardians 3 is hopefully gonna happen now. Like they're using James Gunn's script in theory. Like all the actors are like seem to be come to an agreement. So it looks like they'll be sorting that out soon.
Do you think it was a rash decision to get rid of James Gunn, or the right decision?
I disagree with it. I disagree with it.
I think it's tough, especially when you think you're doing something in the realm of dark comedy, twisted comedy. It's like it's easy to cross that thin line, and I don't know him personally, but from what I can tell, there's no evidence that he's like pedophilic or anything like that, right?
But it wasn't like he did it like after he did those movies. He did it years ago, and like if it was really a thing, Disney could have investigated that. Like when they hired him,
right.
Like they could, if it was really a thing, it was a hack job, man. Like they went for him, man. It was I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it. I think he's gonna kill it at DC with Suicide Squad. I bet you that shit's gonna be off the hook.
I think. Well, that's the thing. I think Disney's gonna create a problem for themselves because he already had the success of Aquaman, mixed reviews, but still huge success. And now with James Gunn,
I watched that for the first time. I watched that for the first time the other day. I do like it. I liked it more than Wonder Woman. It's definitely, to me, it feels like a comic book movie. Like when I was watching it, I felt like I was reading a comic book.
Okay.
It's not as you can like suspend some disbelief. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when it's not like it doesn't have to be like the tightest plot.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like you're reading a comic book, and that's how I felt.
Okay.
And I really like the treatment of both villains in that movie. They're pretty much like page to the screen, like great adaptations, and I really like what they did with them.
All right. Cool. Do you have any social media? No. Do you have any social media? Do you want to plug or anything? Or
no, nothing right now, buddy.
No?
Just Paranormal Now, right?
Paranormal Now. Yep. All right, man. Thanks. We're gonna have to do this again, though, for sure.
Always a pleasure, my friend.
All right, brother.
I'll always talk things with you.
Me too. All right, man.
Have a good one, pal. Later.
Peace. If you like today's content, please like and subscribe down below and leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say.